Yes, indeed. I'm Stan Husted. Interesting idea. And Friday is for leaders. Friday made it, and so did we. Friday is for leaders, and if you're not a leader, don't listen to the program. If you're not a leader, don't listen. Today we're going to talk more about what leaders need to be, and that is to be fully alive. And then if you're a leader, you got to know what your gift is. And then we're going to show you that you need to know how to speak the word. That's right, speak the word and why that's powerful. And then I'll illustrate to you that one of the best-selling books in the world, and you've probably heard of it, the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, was not written, and why you can learn from that. And then I'll show you what I've done to update that powerful book. Lots of good things to know and to do. And so let's begin the program right now. Well, I may have violated my own rule. I probably didn't do a little bit more of my mouth exercise to get ready this morning. So thank you for your indulgence as I kind of lost the broadcast edge there for just a moment. Yes, for years I have taught a very simple principle, and it's one I still believe in. Friday is Future Day. And if you are a leader, you will make sure that Friday is devoted not just to cleaning up the mess for the week. You got to do a little bit of that. But that should be done by Thursday night. Friday should be a time where you are thinking about, and everybody is thinking about, how are we going to do next week and how are we going to do the future? So that we are always thinking about strategy, about future development, of creativity, of uniqueness, of how not only to make money now, but how to make money then. Think about that. How to service people, not only right now, but service them then. Because, as we said before, if you don't serve people, you will not be successful. You will not survive. You have to serve. If you don't serve, you don't survive. That's the deal. We are made to serve others. That's the deal. There are a lot of deals, and part of being a good leader is to know what the leadership deals really are. So let me begin, if I can, and hopefully be helpful to you. I just want to add to a couple things we talked about this past week. The idea of, hey, where does your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet? What are you doing to be more fully alive? And I hope you're thinking about that because I'll share a little bit of the origins of that story. One of the gentlemen who everybody should read is Howard Thurman. He was an African-American teacher and philosopher, and he was really the mentor of Martin Luther King Jr. As I point out to people, it's the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was a man of faith and spirit, and that's where his inspiration to do all of the inspiring things he did came from. People forget that. You really have to know a little bit about how the Spirit works if you want to know how the world works. So, Howard Thurman gave this comment. He was talking to a group of students, and he simply said this to them. Right now, you're all thinking about what you should go out and do in life and what you should be and what kind of contribution you should make. And all of that may be helpful and useful. But let me tell you, here's the deal. What the world needs now is people to be fully alive. Fully alive. That's what the world needs. So discover what makes you fully alive. And then do that. Then do that. Interestingly enough, another mentor of mine, Pastor Richard Rohr, shared one of his statements, which he fully credits to someone else, which is what all real, authentic people do. He said this: you need to find what is genuinely yours to offer the world before you can make it a better place. You need to find what is genuinely yours to offer the world before you can make it a better place. I will also suggest a little bit of wisdom that I got from my daughter, who's a writer, and as I was pitching a book idea before her, she simply said this: yeah, Dad, I'm sure if you wrote that book on marketing, you'd be pretty good. I know you are. Yeah, that'd probably be better than most of the books on marketing. But Dad, write the book that only you can write. Because the world doesn't need another blank book on marketing. Write the book that only you can write. Those are the ways leaders think. Write the book that only you could write. What is genuinely yours to offer the world? Find that out. Get good at it. And then you can make the world a better place. Unfortunately, most of the people who are trying to make the world a better place have no gift to offer except perhaps their anger or their anxiety or their fear, and that will never work. What the world needs now is men and women who are fully alive. So be one. That's just 7 minutes. I hope that has been helpful to you on Friday. But I've got one more piece of advice which has kind of come to me, and perhaps it will be useful to you. And it revolves around the idea that we all have to share the word, a word, any word. And there are ways that you need to learn how to do that, particularly today. And that's how I will wind up on this Friday. I'm Stan Houston. These are interesting ideas, and we'll be right back. As I promised some time ago, I usually do interesting ideas Monday through Friday. And I'm pretty good at making it a kind of a 10 to 15 minute weekly program. Because you're busy. You don't need to listen to an hour and a half podcast. You better be really, really good before you do an hour and a half podcast and expect people to listen to it. And most of the people who do those long podcasts aren't that good. But they have that right, and they should do. If that's what they need to say, they should say it. However, what I like to do is on the weekend, I would like to have an interesting person who will come forward with an interesting idea. And I've been trying to recruit a few, and that hasn't gone as well as I would like, because it usually doesn't. What you usually have to do is that you have to go out and you have to recruit them. You have to invite them. You have to challenge them. And sometimes you actually have to a little bit embarrass them. Why don't you do that? Okay, and that's what I'm going to do. And in fact, I've got a number of people now who have said they would like to be on Interesting Ideas on the weekend edition. It'll be a little bit longer, 20 to 30 minutes, but they will have something that comes out of their gift. They have a gift, and they're going to share it with you, and hopefully it'll be helpful and useful to you. So that's what's going to happen. Now, the word. There are thousands and thousands and probably millions and millions of blogs and books and articles written probably every day. And that's what we call the written word. And of course, we like to believe that the written word is powerful. But you have to understand there are three kinds of word distribution. The written word is very powerful, and obviously many people do it. And some people think it's the only really way to get perhaps your word out there, perhaps to get your name and fame out there. And that can be helpful. But you also have to know, of course, it should be obvious to you. The spoken word. It's not just a story I read. Sometimes it's a story I hear. And perhaps the storyteller should actually be not just a story writer, but a storyteller. So there is the spoken word. And of course now, because of the miracle of radio some 100 years ago, you can speak the word right in this little room in North Carolina, and you can hear it all over the world. Radio's been around now for just over 100 years. Remarkable invention. And now you can do it. You don't even need all those towers and transmitters and all that money. Here you go. A $50 microphone and a computer. And I can speak to the world. Then there is the performance word. And this is where it's not just spoken, but it truly is performed. And in some ways, obviously, that's what television is. It's not just a word you hear, but it's where somebody is actually performing it in some way. The performance word. Now, which are you going to get good at? If you want to be a leader, you're going to have to probably get good at all three. But which one would be your strength? Are you going to be a written word person? Are you going to be a spoken word person? Or are you going to be a performance word person? Now, let me show you how it could work. As I mentioned, probably one of the best-selling books in the world, and it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, here's the story. Dale Carnegie was truly rags to riches. He was a man who had nothing and found out how to be something and be successful, and he began to practice those things and put them into his own life, and then he had the opportunity to share some of those ideas with a group of men, and the reason it was a group of men because it was the YMCA, the Young Men's Christian Association, which, though it may not be known for it, was oftentimes the place where young men who would leave their small towns and they would leave perhaps the countryside and go to make their mark in the big city, but they couldn't afford an apartment as a house. So what they would do is they could get a room at the Y. And that was very, very significant. It was a small room. Perhaps you could have a small place to maybe do a little bit of cooking, but not much. The restrooms, the showers, they were all down at the end of the hall. But it was a place to stay and study. And Dale Carnegie offered to give talks on how to be successful. And it was in the evening, and it began to gain quite an audience. And so what he did is he simply invited one of his friends who was a stenographer. Remember that? Somebody who could write what you put down speaking very fast, shorthand. And she took the notes and wrote the notes from the lectures, from the presentation, from the spoken word. And that's how the book was written. Her notes were put together, edited, and then the spoken word became the written word, and it became very powerful. So I'm just telling you that story to say right now, you have the possibility, in fact, you have the opportunity, and you have the responsibility, if you are a leader who has goodness in your heart and wants to share it with others, get with it. Choose which word style you are going to use and begin to do it. And begin to reach out. God has an audience for you, and you need to discover who they are and how you can reach them and what you should say. You have to do that if you want to be a leader today. Thank you for giving me 15 minutes. As Brian Tracy once said, hey, if you want to be a world-class leader, spend 20 minutes every day learning how to be better at what you do and how you do it. Hopefully that's a part of how I can help you every day, 15 to 20 minutes. But make sure you also then not only listen, but when I suggest something to read, read. Read 20 minutes a day. Read an hour a day. Turn off the TV and read. If you do turn on the TV, make sure it is something that is worthy of what you need to know and perhaps be to be a leader. What the world needs now are leaders who are fully alive, full of the Spirit, and have words of wisdom, insight, and truth, along with a little bit of wit and good humor, to speak, to write, to perform, and to do it well. I'm Stan Houston. Interesting ideas for a Friday. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back to close it down. I hopefully have understood that every time I speak, I'm auditioning, and I'm auditioning to help you in your business. And I believe that before pitching you, I should help you. Before trying to ask for the fee, I should offer something for free. And that's what I do. So I can help you. Please reach out to me. First of all, let's find out which of the words, genres, themes, topics that you need to bring into the world. Perhaps figure out what your gift is to offer the world, and then figure out how to do it well. It's hard work, but everything worthwhile is hard work. And leadership, true, good leadership, is some of the hardest work in the world. That's why you need help. That's why you need a coach. And that's why you need the Spirit force to empower you. Best and blessings. Have a good weekend. Take care. We'll be back next week. Bye for now.